A trust allows you to have a lot of control over the distribution of your assets. A lot of people hear the word trust and they get very nervous because they think they're going to give up some control. But actually the way that a trust works is you're just transferring assets, as we talk about in Trial and Errors, from one pocket, which may be John Smith, to the other pocket, which is John's trust. Still money in your pocket, you can still spend the money, you can still put money back in it, but the difference is it does not go through the probate court.
Ready to set up a trust for your family? First, decide on the type.
The most common trust is a revocable living trust. It helps both while people are alive and after they pass away. And by revocable, we mean it's changeable. So as long as the people are competent, they can change it whenever they want. And that's why it's such a flexible and wonderful estate planning tool.
Second, pick your trustee wisely.
It's very important when you're choosing your trustees, that's the person who's going to manage the trust for you when you can't, to choose wisely. Don't just pick the child that's the oldest or the child who lives closest like a lot of people do. Pick the person who you think's really going to do the best job.
And Ted Kennedy's a great example of this. He gave a lot of thought to who he chose as his trustee to avoid some family fighting. As opposed to picking his wife or his children from a prior marriage, he actually picked a dear friend. And that allowed, in a second marriage situation, everything to move along a lot calmer than it otherwise could have.
Finally, don't forget to fund the trust.
Funding is critical. There's no point in paying the attorney a lot of money to do this big trust for you if you don't take the next step, which is transferring your assets into the trust. That's called funding. And if you don't do this, then all your hard work is for naught and your estate goes through the probate court anyways.
And that's exactly the mistake that Michael Jackson made with his trust. He never transferred his assets into it. His families went through the probate court, and that's why we're seeing such a big public mess that's dragging on and on.
While wills are public documents, trusts are private.
It could be a nosy neighbor down the street, and you may not want them knowing how much money you have when you pass away. When you use a trust and you avoid the probate court, there's no public record of who you're leaving your money to and how it goes to them. So you maintain control and keep your affairs private, which I think is the ultimate goal for most people when they do estate planning.
And remember, it's most important to find an experienced estate planning attorney.
A lot of people make the mistake of downloading forms off the internet or doing do-it-yourself trust kits, and these usually are a big hassle and do not allow people to be creative and address their particular family and their particular needs. So you have to find a good lawyer.
You don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire. You need to ask yourself, do I want my family to avoid the probate court? And if the answer is yes, a trust is for you.